everyone, welcome to episode 156 of the Cherryheart podcast. I am Sandra and this is a crafty podcast featuring crochet, knitting and sewing. You will be able to find the show notes for this podcast in the description box below the video, and that's where I'll put pattern names or yarn names or anything else I mention. I'll make a note of it in there so you can find it if you would like to. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for returning if you've watched my videos before, and thanks for giving it a whirl if you are new. I hope you enjoy it. But let's get stuck straight into it, shall we? Just a tiny little bit of Podmin before I begin. Well, not really Podmin, is it? It's not really podcast, but webmin, I suppose. Website admin. Yeah, just to let you know, I've just had a tiny little shuffle around on the website that I linked below. Just to make the tutorials easier to find. So on the menu bar at the top now, I've put podcast up there, which is kind of irrelevant to you because you're here and you found it. But you can link to it straight from the website now. And then also I've changed my Crochet Corner, linked to my Crochet Corner site, which I've got all my, what's the word? A stitch dictionary, so tutorials for all the different stitches and joining methods and other techniques are all on a sort of my Crochet Corner site, as I call it. But I've just changed that to tutorials now, so I've put all of that stuff is still on there, but it will now go to a main page so you can sort of see all the the project tutorials and like my Rosy Posy square or like my granny square tutorial, just sort of more project based things and motifs and things. You can find all of those tutorials, you know, under the one place because they had got all separated up and it was just a bit awkward. Yeah, so if you want a tutorial, or if you want to see what tutorials I do, just pop to my website, cherryheart.co.uk, and just click on that tutorials, and it just makes it a lot easier. Oh, and I also put like a little secondary navigation bar up there now, so you could, you know, it's easier to sort of skip between the categories. So I'm personally finding it a lot easier to navigate my own site now, so I'm hoping that will help other people as well. So that was it, just a little bit of information about that. But projects, let's get into the projects. Where to begin? I think for continuity I shall talk about this because you saw this on the last podcast, or at least you did if you were here. If you're new then you won't have done, but you can see it now. So this is a stash busting blanket that I'm making, which I have now finished. I'm not sure if this is all fitting on the screen. There we go. So I called this I've made this square, I've called it the Floral Haze square. So I think it's got like nice kind of 70s vibes to it. And I've got a big box, I'm just looking at it, it's just down here. I've got a big box full of Lovecraft's, what's it called? Paintbox Aran. Paintbox Simply Aran. And I've got a whole load of colours, mostly just, well, almost, yeah, entirely. One single skeins of all different colours. So this was to try and eke through that stash because I don't really find myself using acrylic yarns that often anymore. But they are great for blankets and things. But anyway, I've just got so much stash, so I need to work through some of it. So this was my attempt to do that. And as is typical in stash busting, I did run out of the white. I planned it out quite carefully, and I only made the squares, you know, the maximum number of squares I could make just using the white yarn I had. So that was fine, but when I joined it, it looked so tiny, I thought I'm going to treat myself to another 2 balls of the white yarn, and I can use up more colours in the process, and then it will give me a little bit of extra to put a border on as well. So I made a second stack of squares, so it was literally doubled the size of the blanket. So it was this size at first, which I guess is okay for a little tiny baby blanket, but literally just that. And as I have no little tiny babies, I thought I would make it a bit bigger. Yeah, so I've doubled it in size. The only trouble with that is it's kind of, I perhaps didn't need to double it. I think I just needed to make it 2 more rows like that. That's kind of a nice size, I think. So it's actually a bit of a little bit of a long rectangle. It'd work for a sort of, I don't know what it would work for, like a kind of cot bed, I guess, like a sort of my first bed type thing, or just a pushchair throw. There we go, this is me simulating being in a pushchair. Actually, it nearly covers me now, so it's not that tiny. But anyway, yeah, so made the squares, and I did a tutorial for the Floral Haze square. That is up now. I'll pop a link in the down bar below. So that is there. So that is the tutorial for the square, and then I just joined it with crochet through the from the back, crocheted them together from the back, and I have a photo tutorial of that on my Crochet Corner website that I was just chatting about. So if you go to my website and click tutorials and look on joining, you will find it there. And then for the border, what did I do? I did 1 round of just UK trebles, so that's US doubles, and then I just did a round with you know, shells. So just, I think I did, how many? 5, 6, 6. Yeah, so it was very simple, sort of most simple, most basic order going. I don't have a tutorial for that, I'm afraid, though, but I've just described it, so hopefully you get the idea. So there we go, all finished now. I really like this one. I tried to sort of make a kind of ombre effect with the colours, so I thought that suited this flowery pattern quite nicely, and the kind of 70s. Some of them not so much, but this one and this one worked well. This one, that one's nice. Yeah, so that's finished. That was quite satisfying. I still do have a whole load of stash left though. Like, it seems like it's barely made a dent, especially because I brought in new wool balls to finish. So I need to do something else. I need another project, another stash busting project for that. But in the meantime, I have done other things as well. So we'll move on. So the next project, so I was talking about these last time as well. So these are my Florentine squares, or my little Florentines as I think of them. So this is going to be a blanket. So I showed these last time, I think. Sorry, I'm just looking what I'm doing on the screen. So these, the centre bit is all one colour, and those are made, I've used my Advent minis for these. Yeah, so this is, I'm using 4-ply yarn for these, held double to make DK weight. So you could make these with 4-ply Advent minis is what I'm trying to say, and I think you could probably make them with DK Advent minis. Actually, yes you can, because I did make a DK one as well. Yeah, so it takes about, it really depends on the yarn, somewhere between 15 and 17 grams worth to make one, so it kind of uses up most of the mini skein, so that's quite nice. And then the edging I've also used kind of a lot paler colours. Some are just plain, that one's just plain, just to sort of be a background, but I've used some of the sort of my little variegated yarns on that. So I have my whole pile here of completed squares. So that's all good to go. I've got, did I do 24? So it was like a whole Advent mini. I think I did, yeah, so 24 of those. And I actually did a little, one of my Quiet Moments vlogs about making these up, to show me going through and making those. So I'll link that as well if you're interested. But yeah, I've really enjoyed making these, and they seem like I've made them so quickly. Like, it's not a huge blanket, but it's a reasonable size, and I feel like I could have just kept going. I could easily have made 48 of these. I really enjoy making them. In fact, I may make some more, I don't know, I'll see how it feels when I've got these lot joined, I think. Yeah, so I started working on the joining now, which I wanted in a different colour. Yeah, so the joining I wanted in a different colour, so I'll show you what I'm thinking of that. What I had in mind was this one. So I wanted something kind of blue, kind of a stormy kind of blue colour. So I had this, but I didn't think it would be enough on its own. Or at least I wasn't sure, so I thought rather than worry about running out, I would just hold it, and because I'm holding everything double, I'll just hold it with another one, that'll be easier. So I had two other contenders in stash. So this one is a lovely one that Crafted in Treats dyed up. She isn't dyeing anymore. This one I think is from Peak Yarns. This was a gorgeous gift from lovely Judith from Merino and Tomatoes. Thank you, Judith. And this one is from the Wool Barn. I think that's called Lagoon. So one of these outer two with the middle one. So obviously they're tonally very similar, almost too similar in fact. It kind of makes this colour very dominant. And these are tonally different. I was worried that this would be too purpley, but I think held together I like, so I'll just show you how that looks. It's hard to tell because it's just a little bit on the edge. So I'm going for a kind of variation on, or a type of flat braid join to join them all together, and I'm going to do it kind of join as you go. So I've just got one there, and then I'll put that border on this one and I'll join it as I work the edging kind of thing. So I have started writing up the pattern for this. Let me just put these yarns back down. Yeah, I've started writing up the pattern for these, but I'm just not quite sure what I'm going to do for the border. So I need to work that out before I can sort the pattern out properly. Yeah, but really enjoying that. I kind of only stopped working on it because I wanted to show you like how far I'd got. But I can see this being finished by next time we chat, because I don't know, it just seems like a nice, easy, happy project that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of coming together a bit effortlessly, which is quite nice. Doesn't always happen, does it? But yeah, I could definitely make this bigger. It's such a great way to use the minis as well. It kind of really showcases off each yarn. I've got so many gorgeous ones. That one from Elderflower Yarns. You can't see them very well because I've got them all, I've planned my layout so I've got them all bound up in their rows. This one was from Dandelion and Dogwood Advent, Barbie Advent. This was one I dyed myself with help from Sam of Lovely Betsy Makes, my crafting friend. That's the DK one. That's another Elderflower Stitches one. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a mishmash of advents, but of course you could just use one advent. It'd be a lovely way to use one advent. You'd need, you know, some other yarns for the backgrounds, obviously. Or just one, you could just have the backgrounds plain, but because I had some of these nice low volume-ish, sort of paley ones, I just really like that sort of like they're clearly all kind of white base, but there's just a little bit of something different going on with them. I really like that, so that none of them match exactly. I love it. So yeah, that one's coming along nicely. And then while we're talking of piles of things, look, well, it's all about piles. It's all about, that sounds wrong, crochet. It's all about heaps of crochet this week. Yeah, so let's move from this pile to this pile. So I have been making just lots of random one-off squares at the moment, just different crochet squares. Again, if you were here last time, I showed you like a batch that I'd made last time, so I've gone back and I've just kept making different ones. So these are, I've got quite a lot of rejects by the way, but these are the ones that are sort of vaguely, you know, have potential. So this one, first of all, this is kind of a variation of something I saw in a what's the word, like a stitch book, you know, like a crochet stitch book. It had some motifs in it, and it's kind of a variation of one of those. The flower is very similar, but then all the outer I had to change. I wanted to change, I suppose. I just didn't like how it came out in the pattern, so I thought I'd try that. So I love that. Again, another sort of really 3D heaped up pattern. But I kind of, yeah, I really like that for a blanket. I've got, now this flower. So I did this flower, that's quite cute. And then this is the same flower, but I've done a different outer for it, which I quite like. I like these colours as well. It's a bit like a very vintagey type thing. It's almost got Christmas vibes actually. So yeah, the flower's the same, but the way these petals are, well, how I've got them all offset, I think it really kind of suits the like the granny pattern. So again, I mean, also cute though, but I think they've got potential. Then this one, I'm a little bit on the fence on this one. On the one hand, I think it's really pretty. On the other hand, well, see, what does that suggest anything to you? I really like this edging though. Yeah, it's a nice sort of hexagon. I think just the flower looks a tiny bit fried egg. Like, I know it's different colours, but just the big blob in the middle, I don't know. And the sort of slightly uneven, like they're not mega defined petals, they're slightly uneven. So I don't know if that just looks a bit fried egg. Ooh, although I've just had an idea of how I could change that. I'll try that next. But I do like it. And then this one I made last night. I'm really pleased with this one. I like this. It's so pretty. I really like the colours of this flower actually. 'Cause I've got some, when the yarns get, I've only got a really tiny bit left. I've been putting them in a basket, just the tiny balls, and I've kind of got some like dregs of bits left. So I was trying to use some of those up. And in some of my samples I've got some quite dodgy colour combinations because I'm trying to use these little dregs up. So I was very dubious about how this one came out, but actually I think it looks really pretty. Yeah, quite happy with that one. Because I did one octagon shape last time, I'm sort of striving to find a nice octagon shape that I like. Because I like the idea of like you put these together and you're going to have like this hole. So if you imagine another one of these here, you're going to have like a diamond hole, and I like the idea of, you know, those sort of tessellating together and having, I'm going to need something else to go in here, so I need a play to see what that'll be. I quite like the idea of just doing something a bit different like that. Yeah, so I did one last time, which I quite liked, but I found the flower that I put in the middle quite fussy, but I like this one much more. So yeah, that one's got potential. Oh, this one I still need to tinker with a little bit. I do like the colours of this though. This middle is like it's quite nice, but it needs to be a bit neater. But yeah, that one's quite a nice one. Oh, and then sunflowers. So I did faff around for sunflowers. It took me, I like the sunflower I've got, that's cute, but it's the border I was struggling with. So I've got this version, which is quite a small border, which I'm not sure about because a lot of the pretty laciness of the border, you can see it better from the back actually. Look, quite pretty. You can't really see it brilliantly from the front. So then I had another go and did it this way. So I've done the leaves very differently, which again I quite like. These look more flowery, these leaves sticking out of the sides of where. But I do kind of like the laciness of the border around this one. So yeah, I'm not sure. What do you reckon? Which one would you go for? Slightly smaller or slightly bigger? I think the sunflower colours are better in this one actually. So that might be affecting, I don't know. They're both good in different ways, but. So there's that one, and then these ones kind of go together. So I've been thinking about doing a flower quilt where the flowers are different sizes. So let's show you one at a time. So there's this one, which has got quite a large flower. Ooh, I've just thought, I brought my design board over to show you something else. Let's put them on this. This is my design board. What this is, sorry, just to explain what I'm talking about, this is something that quilters quite often use, so you can lay your fabric pieces out and they kind of, it's like quilt backing, fluffy stuff on there. So they don't stick, but they kind of do stick, if you know what I mean. Like they don't literally stick like glue, but they tend to, because it's a bit tacky, they kind of want to stay onto it so they don't blow everywhere or just go shooting off the desk or something. You can sit them on there and they'll stay. So that's the idea of it. But it is quite handy for doing this with, which is, I can stick the crochet on it. So that's number one. So that's the big flower. This was the one I made first. This is kind of a medium flower, so it's got a bigger border. And then this is the little flower. See if I can get these on so that you can see them all. There we go. There we are. So I kind of like the idea of doing the blanket with all of them, and then sometimes the flowers are bigger bit and sometimes it's more like that. What do you reckon? Let's go back so you can see them. And then I've got kind of like a Cath Kidston vibe going on with them, and I thought if I had the green, blue, yellow and kind of like a pink border with the sort of pinky flowers in the middle, that very Cath Kidston reminiscent to me, but I really quite like it. Yeah, I really like those as well. The only downside with these is obviously these ones, this one especially, using an awful lot of the background colour, and I'm not sure I would have enough background colour. I would need to buy more yarn in order to use yarn again. But with what I'm about to tell you in a minute, when I do my incoming goodies, that kind of ship has already sailed, really. But if I've got a good use for it and I'm going to enjoy it, does it really matter? The correct answer is no. Yeah, so those are the squares that I have been working on, or hexagons. Those are the shapes. Those are the crochet motifs I've been working on. And I've probably got enough of them now to be going along with. But I'm just really enjoying keep making variations. Oops, sorry, banging the tripod. And it's interesting as well how like you can make a flower and then change it completely by just doing different kind of backgrounds or borders or whatever you want to call it to it. So there we are. Sorry, just looking at the time, seeing what the time is. Because I feel like a couple of podcasts ago I asked you if you mind, you know, what sort of length podcast, because I was all thinking that people might prefer it not to be too long, and I sort of worry that I'm taking up too much of the time, so I tried to make them sort of 20-30 minutes long. I was trying to do, and then people were like, no, make it a bit longer. Sort of up to an hour is good because you can put it on and that's quite nice company and stuff. Which I felt the same. I was like, as long as it's sort of no more than an hour, I'm good with it. Anyway, since I asked that question and lots of you came back with no, I'm good with a half an hour to an hour type time, I feel like I haven't had that much to talk about, and so the podcast isn't actually taking very long anyway. But there we are, it's sod's law, isn't it? Right. So this next project I kind of had on my mind to try for a little while. And it's crochet, but I've based it on a quilt pattern that I saw, and I don't know where I saw it. I think I just found it on Pinterest or just on Google or something. If I find the picture, I'll put it in and then I can give proper credit. I think it is. I think you might, if you quilt, you might know it because I think it's a known quilt pattern. But anyway, let's show you. So it's this. It's a strawberry. How cute is that? So I've been using 4-ply yarn held together to make this, which is what I'm just so enjoying at the minute. So I mentioned that that's how I'm doing that. It's also how I did all of the squares, the different crochet flowery shapes. They're all held double as well. So it makes a nice DK weight, but it's kind of a really nice way to blend. You can sort of blend different colours. So on this one I did have some different colour reds, but I also held different ones together to make sort of slightly different shade squares. So I've got a really nice patchwork look to it. And I have also blocked this. So normally if I'm making squares for a blanket, I don't bother to block, because once they're all joined and you've got the weight of the blanket, they kind of stretch each other out nicely, and then the edge, the border kind of pulls it straight. So I don't always bother. But I have blocked this just because I've made this kind of this panel, but I'm not quite sure what it will become or what it's for. I just kind of wanted to make it just to see what it would be like, just to try it out. I thought it'd look cute, and I think it does. So I don't know if I will make more and turn these into a blanket, or whether this will have some kind of border on it. It could just be like a little decorative thing I could hang up in the craft room. That could work quite nicely. So that's a red one, and I tried a pink one as well. So let's show you that one. Here is the pink one. This one is still ever so slightly damp, to be honest. Yeah, but I just really like both of those. They're really cute. Frightfully, I haven't woven in any ends, so that's all a bit terrifying, isn't it? I was kind of wanting to see, you know, I was so excited to see how it looked together and get it all joined, but I didn't bother with the ends, which is a bit naughty. So I will either have to go back and do that, but it might depend on what their, you know, what their ultimate destination is. Pretty straws and horror of the ends. So what else can I tell you about these? I do love how like properly quilty they look, with the different sort of yarn and the slightly different square colours and different yarns and things. They look really patchworky and lovely. So what else can I tell you about them? So join wise, I did make an effort to like match my joins with square colours. So obviously the red ones I've joined with reds, and I did white up until here, and then I've changed and then gone back to white again. So that's a little bit of a faff. So like this is all white joins, but then up here is red. So that's a bit of a faff, but worth it, I think, for the look. And again, I have joined these with that crochet from the back, which is really hard to tell with all of these furry ends absolutely everywhere. Let's clear off a bit so you can see. There we are. We've joined them from the back, just crocheted them together. So then when you see it from the front, they kind of look like they're stitched together, but you kind of lose the join completely when you match the colours in. So, and then on this one, so this one you can see the join because I went with a really bright pink, which I don't know if that was the right choice actually. I thought it would look kind of funky when I was doing it. Most of them I held the bright, so like on here I've got the bright pink, but I've held it with one of the paler ones. Here I went for two of the brighter ones, so it does look a bit, but so you know, you can kind of emphasise it or lose it depending on what style you like. But yeah, I mean these would look really cute if I had some more and they made up a blanket, wouldn't they? But they would also look cute if I just put a little board around and had them as a hanging thing. So, I don't know, I've got a lot of sort of half, I don't know, ideas for blankets. Haven't actually got much blanket undertaken yet. But then I suppose I've got this one on the go, and I've also got my this one on the go, which I've kind of hibernated until autumn. So, you know, how many blanket projects should I really be starting is the question. But yeah, this was why I bought this, and I haven't even put them on there. This was just a fun little aside for now, and I can think about, there we go, I can think about how I want to use them going forward. And I think we can finish on an incoming goodies section. Now, I haven't done one of these for so long. I've barely bought any yarn this year, which is kind of my way of justifying the fact that like this has happened. Yeah. I mean, I've been starting all of these projects to stash bust yarn, and what do? I just go and buy more yarn. But you know, you sort of get down on certain colours. So for example, I didn't have much in the way of purples at all. So then I had to just pop onto Dandelion and Dogwood, and I got this one, which is Hard Candy. This is really gorgeous. And then I saw this while I was there, so I picked this up because I love, this is like one of my favourite greens, this beautiful jade colour. What's this called? Four-leaf clover. So I got a couple from Dandelion and Dogwoods, it's those ones. And so then I was really running out of greens. I don't buy a lot of green. You can see I kind of think there was like maybe 2 here, which I've already pilfered out of stash. The kind of green end is blank. So I was thinking, who would have some really nice green yarns, what yarn dyers? And I thought of beautiful Kelly and Lay Family yarns, Kelly and Nick's yarns. And I thought, oh, she has so many. For a start, she has gorgeous variegated and kind of speckled yarns that are going to be perfect for this. And I know she has like such a beautiful range of colours. She's going to have something I want. And she did. So a couple of them I've wound up already because I just couldn't wait to use them. So I've got this one, which is just perfect. It's very hard, I find, especially in commercial yarns, perhaps less so in hand-dyed yarns, but to find a yellow that's kind of a really nice mid-yellow. You get very pale, sort of borderline cream ones. You can get kind of neon-y ones. You can get lovely mustardy ones, but it's hard to find like a nice mid-yellow. So this is a gorgeous mid-yellow, and also so is this. So this one is Betsy Ann, and this one is Apricot Lemonade. Look, they're both absolutely perfect. So they are gorgeous. And then I was really low on greens, and all my flowers are having leaves, so I need lots of greens. So I got this one that I already started, which I think is called Apple White. That's just a gorgeous shade. That's actually pretty much, well, a solid, so I guess a semi-solid because it's hand-dyed, but a solid. And then I've got these 3 other ones as well. Just Kelly and Nick are so clever with their dyeing, but oh, look at them. And you can sort of see you could hold different ones together and they're just going to look gorgeous. So yeah, so I ordered some of these, and gorgeous Kelly, lovely person that she is, put an extra one in for me as well. So thank you, Kelly, you're absolute treasure. You didn't need to do that, but I do love you for it. So which ones are which? So we have the Secret Garden here. That is so pretty. And then we have Woodland Shenanigans. Again, perfect. Lovely bit of variegation on that. And then this one, Every Leaf Speaks Bliss to Me. So I just think these and different combinations of these are just going to work perfectly on all my little leaves that I want. And then last of all, I did try a new dyer that I haven't tried before, and I found them from, I was sort of thinking of the people I used to buy yarn from, and some of them aren't trading anymore, they don't dye yarn anymore. So I was thinking, well, where can I kind of look and find people? And I thought, well, I'll look on exhibitions. So when you go on yarn festival websites, they'll have a list of the exhibitors and they'll link to their websites. So I went and had a look on one of those. I think it was the Summer Wool Festival that's coming up soon, which is near me. It's in Bedfordshire. Yeah, so I looked on the exhibitors for that. And I thought, well, I'll just look on the websites, just see what there is while I was there. And I found this one. So this is Ted Knits UK. I've gone a bit brighter with these ones. These, I think what inspired me to go for these is how much I enjoyed how this one looked. It's got, so I've kind of got some quite neon-y bits in there, and I really like that. So I thought, yeah, I'll have something a bit brighter as well. So yeah, so this is Ted Knits UK, and this one is Kiss Chase, which I thought is nice, and it's got a bit of purple in it, which is something I don't have a lot of. And then there's this one, which is Neon Mojito, because if I have got some neons, it's more in the kind of yellowy pinky range. I haven't got anything in the greeny bluey area, so I thought, yeah, I'll try that. The only thing, it has got a bit of black on. I would have preferred if it didn't have black. I think I perhaps, you know, if I saw a picture and saw that, I thought, oh, it's just tiny speckles, it'll be fine. But it has got some splodgy bits on. But I'm sure, you know, held with something else, it'll all be good. So this is my, yes, my guilty secret. The guilty secrets of stash busting. You just end up buying more stash. Dangerous. Dangerous, but very satisfying. Anyway, never mind. That's it for me then. I think that's everything. So thank you ever so much for being here, and especially if you made it this far. I really appreciate that, and I shall hope to see you soon. Until next time then, bye! Yeah, so these are perfect for those little Advent mini skeins. They take... Rude. I'm trying to get a thumbnail, can you tell? Ooh, ooh.